Someone you love has two friends who hold strong opinions about you. One believes you're perfect. The other thinks you're dangerous. The disturbing question is this: which voice will your loved one choose to believe? Stay until the end, because the answer may explain everything you've been experiencing. Most people believe that love exists between two individuals. Yet, in reality, every relationship is quietly observed by an invisible audience. Long before problems appear on the surface, opinions are already being formed behind closed doors, in private conversations, through subtle glances, and in moments you may never witness. If someone you love has close friends, especially two strong personalities who hold significant influence in their life, it is possible that you are being evaluated, discussed, and judged without ever realizing it. Human beings possess a deep psychological need to belong. Acceptance within a social group provides emotional security, identity, and a sense of stability. Because of this, people rarely make important emotional decisions entirely on their own. Even when they believe they are acting independently, the voices of trusted friends often remain present in the background, quietly shaping their perceptions. The fascinating aspect of this process is that these judgments are usually formed very quickly. A single interaction, a brief conversation, or even an impression created through stories can be enough for someone to develop a strong opinion about you. Once this opinion is established, the mind naturally begins searching for evidence to support it. If a friend decides you are trustworthy, they may overlook your mistakes and focus on your positive qualities. But if they conclude that you are unsuitable, they may interpret even your strengths as weaknesses. What makes this especially powerful is that you may never know it is happening. The person you love might continue smiling at you while simultaneously receiving advice, warnings, or subtle suggestions from friends. These influences rarely appear as direct commands. Instead, they emerge through seemingly innocent remarks, such as, "Are you sure this person understands you?" Or, "I just want to make sure you're not getting hurt." Such comments can plant seeds of doubt that gradually grow over time. Many people underestimate how deeply trusted friendships affect romantic relationships. Friends often believe they are acting out of love and protection. They may genuinely think they are helping. However, their judgments are inevitably filtered through their own experiences, fears, disappointments, and personal history. Someone who has endured betrayal may become suspicious of everyone. Someone who fears abandonment may interpret independence as emotional distance. Without realizing it, they project their own unresolved experiences onto your relationship. This creates what might be called an invisible court, where decisions about your character are made in your absence. You are simultaneously present and absent. Present as the subject of discussion, absent as a participant in it. The person you love may then find themselves caught between their direct experience with you and the collective opinions of those they trust. Understanding this hidden dynamic explains why relationships sometimes change unexpectedly. It is not always a dramatic event that alters someone's feelings. Sometimes it is the slow accumulation of external judgments quietly reshaping how they perceive the person they love. One of the most misunderstood truths about human relationships is that people rarely see others as they truly are. Instead, they see them through the lens of their own inner world. This means that when the friends of someone you love form strong opinions about you, those opinions often reveal as much about them as they do about you. In many cases, what they believe they see in you is actually a reflection of their own fears, desires, unresolved conflicts, and emotional history. Psychologically, every person carries hidden aspects of themselves, qualities, emotions, and experiences that remain outside conscious awareness. Because these hidden elements are difficult to recognize within ourselves, we often encounter them in other people. We unconsciously project them outward. The result is that another person becomes a mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves that we have not fully understood or accepted. This is why one friend may instantly admire you while another feels uneasy in your presence, even when both have met the same person. The difference lies not necessarily in who you are, but in what your presence awakens within them. Someone who values emotional openness may see your vulnerability as a sign of authenticity and strength. Another, who has been deeply hurt in the past, may interpret that same openness as manipulation or weakness. Each person believes they are seeing reality, yet both are viewing you through the filter of their own psychological landscape. Consider a friend who has experienced betrayal in a previous relationship. Without realizing it, they may become highly sensitive to any behavior that resembles their past pain. Your independence, your need for personal space, or even your communication style may trigger old memories. Although you are not the person who hurt them, their emotional history influences how they perceive you. They may warn the person you love to be careful, convinced they are protecting them, when in reality they are responding to unresolved wounds from their own past. The opposite can also occur. A friend who longs for qualities they lack within themselves may idealize you. They may see you as exceptionally wise, confident, or emotionally mature because you embody traits they secretly wish to develop. In this way, admiration can also be a form of projection. They are not simply seeing you. They are seeing possibilities within themselves reflected through you. Jealousy often emerges from this same dynamic. If your relationship brings growth, happiness, or emotional intimacy to someone they care about, certain friends may unconsciously feel threatened. Your presence can expose areas of dissatisfaction in their own lives. Rather than confronting those feelings directly, they may criticize or question you. Again, they believe they are evaluating you objectively, yet they may actually be responding now to emotions they have not fully recognized within themselves. Recognizing this mirror effect changes how we interpret the opinions of others. It reminds us that praise and criticism alike are rarely purely objective. Human beings constantly interact, not only with one another, but also with the unseen dimensions of their own inner world, which they unknowingly project onto those around them. When a person falls deeply in love, they often imagine that their feelings alone will guide their decisions. Yet human beings are rarely influenced by emotion in isolation. Beneath every romantic relationship exists another powerful force, the need for belonging. This creates an inner struggle that many people never consciously recognize. On one side stands the heart, urging them toward intimacy, connection, and personal truth. On the other side stands the tribe, the family members, friends, and social circles whose approval has shaped their identity for years. When these two forces come into conflict, a psychological battle begins. Most people underestimate how profoundly social bonds influence individual choices. From childhood, we learn who we are through the eyes of others. Friends become more than companions. They become mirrors that reflect our identity back to us. Their acceptance provides reassurance that we are making wise decisions, while their disapproval can trigger anxiety, self-doubt, and fear of rejection. Even highly independent individuals are not entirely free from this influence. When someone you love has close friends who strongly oppose you, they may experience an invisible tension that is difficult to explain. In your presence, they may feel joy, comfort, and emotional closeness. Yet after spending time with their friends, uncertainty begins to emerge. Questions arise that had never previously existed. Doubts quietly take root. The person may start wondering whether they are overlooking something important or making a silly mistake. This conflict becomes especially intense when the opinions come from people they deeply trust. Long-standing friendships often carry emotional authority. A friend who has been present during painful experiences, heartbreaks, or personal struggles may be viewed as a reliable guide. If that friend expresses concern about a relationship, the person in love may feel torn between loyalty to their own feelings and loyalty to those who have supported them throughout life. The result is often confusing behavior. A person may appear deeply committed one day and emotionally distant the next. They may withdraw unexpectedly, become hesitant about the future, or struggle to explain why they suddenly need space. From the outside, these shifts can seem irrational. However, internally, they may be wrestling with competing voices. Their heart says one thing, while the collective opinion of their social world says another. Many individuals attempt to resolve this tension by seeking additional validation. They discuss the relationship repeatedly, hoping someone will provide certainty. Ironically, the more opinions they gather, the more confused they often become. Each new perspective adds another layer of complexity, pulling them further away from their own direct experience. The deepest challenge arises when a person begins living according to external expectations, rather than internal truth. In doing so, they risk losing contact with their authentic feelings. The relationship no longer exists solely between two people. It becomes a negotiation between personal desire and social approval, between the longing for love and the equally powerful longing to remain accepted by one's tribe. Few forces are more powerful in human psychology than repetition. An idea heard once may be dismissed, questioned, or ignored. But an idea repeated by trusted people can gradually become accepted as truth, even when it did not originate within us. This is especially significant in intimate relationships, where the opinions of close friends often carry emotional weight. What begins as an external observation can slowly transform into an internal conviction, altering how someone sees both you and the relationship itself. At first, the influence may seem insignificant. A friend casually says, "I don't know, something about them feels off." Or perhaps, "Are you sure this relationship is really right for you?" The person you love may immediately defend you, insisting that everything is fine. They may even feel annoyed by the comment and dismiss it entirely. Yet the human mind has a remarkable tendency to preserve emotionally charged information, especially when it comes from trusted sources. Days or weeks later, a minor disagreement occurs within the relationship. Under ordinary circumstances, it might have been forgotten quickly, but now, the previously planted comment returns to awareness. Suddenly, the argument is not merely an argument. It becomes possible evidence, supporting the warning that was given earlier. The mind begins connecting experiences in ways that confirm existing suggestions. This process often happens unconsciously. The person does not deliberately choose to doubt you. Rather, repeated opinions from trusted friends begin forming an inner dialogue. External voices gradually become internal voices. Instead of hearing a friend say, "Maybe they are too distant," they begin telling themselves, "Perhaps my partner really is emotionally unavailable." The thought now feels personal, authentic, and self-generated, even though it originated elsewhere. Psychologically, this occurs because human beings rely heavily on social validation when interpreting uncertain situations. Relationships are emotionally complex, filled with ambiguity, misunderstandings, and vulnerability. During moments of confusion or insecurity, people naturally turn toward familiar voices for guidance. If those voices consistently express skepticism, caution, or criticism, their perspective slowly gains authority. Over time, this can dramatically reshape perception. Behaviors that were once viewed positively may suddenly appear suspicious. Independence becomes emotional withdrawal. Confidence becomes arrogance. A need for personal space becomes evidence of fading affection. The facts themselves have not changed. Only the interpretation has changed. The danger is that once these interpretations become internalized, they begin influencing behavior. The person may become more guarded, less trusting, or emotionally distant. They may question your intentions more frequently, or withdraw affection without understanding why. Ironically, these changes can create tension within the relationship, producing exactly the problems that were originally feared. What makes this dynamic particularly powerful is that the individual often believes these doubts emerged naturally from their own observations. They rarely recognize how profoundly external opinions have shaped their inner world. In this way, the voices of trusted friends can continue influencing a relationship long after the original conversations have ended, quietly guiding thoughts, emotions, and decisions from within. Every meaningful relationship eventually reaches a moment of testing. In the beginning, love often feels effortless. Emotions are strong, attraction is natural, and the connection seems capable of overcoming any obstacle. Yet as time passes, outside influences begin to appear. Friends express concerns, family members offer advice, and society presents expectations about what a relationship should look like. It is at this point that love faces its most profound challenge. Can it survive the pressure of external opinion? Many people assume that true love simply means intense feelings. But deep psychological growth reveals something different. Feelings alone are not enough. Genuine love requires consciousness. It demands that a person distinguish between their authentic experience and the countless voices surrounding them. Without this inner clarity, relationships become vulnerable to the expectations, fears, and judgments of others. The difficulty lies in the fact that social approval is deeply rewarding. Human beings naturally seek acceptance from their community because belonging provides security and emotional stability. When the people closest to us disapprove of someone we love, we may experience anxiety, guilt, or even shame. The pressure can become so intense that we begin questioning our own perceptions. We ask ourselves whether those around us see something we have missed. There is wisdom in listening to trusted people. Sometimes friends and family recognize warning signs that are difficult to see when we are too emotionally involved. However, problems arise when external opinions completely replace personal experience. A person may end a meaningful relationship not because it felt wrong, but because maintaining it required disappointing others. In such cases, the decision is no longer rooted in truth, but in fear of rejection. Psychological maturity begins when an individual learns to stand apart from the collective and examine their own experience honestly. This does not mean ignoring advice or rejecting every outside perspective. Rather, it means developing the courage to ask difficult questions. What do I genuinely feel when I am with this person? Which doubts belong to me, and which have been inherited from others? Am I acting out of love, or am I acting out of fear? Answering these questions requires confronting an uncomfortable reality. Becoming an individual often means disappointing people. There may be moments when a person must choose between remaining loyal to the expectations of their social circle and remaining loyal to their own inner truth. Such decisions are rarely easy because they involve risk. Choosing one's own path may invite criticism, misunderstanding, or temporary isolation. Yet relationships that survive this test often emerge stronger than before. When two individuals choose each other consciously, after considering outside opinions but refusing to be controlled by them, their bond gains a new depth. The relationship is no longer sustained by excitement alone. It is sustained by awareness, responsibility, and deliberate commitment. Ultimately, the greatest test of love is not whether others approve of it, but whether two still possess the courage to discover and honor the truth of their connection for themselves, even when the world around them speaks with a different voice. So, if someone you love has friends with strong opinions about you, remember this. Their voices may influence the relationship, but they should never define it. Every meaningful connection eventually faces a choice between external approval and inner defilement. The opinions of others can offer guidance, reveal blind spots, and sometimes even provide necessary warnings. But no friend, no family member, and no outside observer can fully understand what exists between two souls behind closed doors. Only the people living the relationship can truly know its depth, its struggles, and its meaning. The greatest challenge in love is not finding someone who is accepted by everyone. It is finding the courage to remain true to what you genuinely experience, even when others disagree. Mature love requires more than passion. It requires self-awareness, individuality, and the strength to think independently, because in the end, relationships are not destroyed by the voices around them. They are destroyed when people lose the ability to trust their own hearts. And perhaps the deepest truth of all is this. Real love survives not because everyone approves of it, but because two people choose each other consciously, honestly, and courageously, again and again,